Good afternoon, everybody, from a rather grey and grisly England. I'm delighted that you've joined us today. We're going to have a very interesting discussion about Gembridge, which is a new digital trading platform for coloured gemstones, pearls and jewellery. We're going to go into some detail about how Gembridge came about and what it offers the coloured gemstone trading community. Firstly, I'd like to introduce our panelists today, all of whom are representatives of Gembridge. Firstly, Tony Brooke, who is chairman of Gembridge. Tony is known, I'm sure, to many of you because he's a very well-established personality in the international coloured gemstone trade with over 3 decades of experience. Formerly CEO of Richland Resources, which was the largest sapphire miner in Australia. Tony is also vice president of the Thai Gems and Jewellery Traders Association. And he's also the coloured gemstone representative in Thailand for SIBJO, the World Trade Confederation for Jewellery. Hi there, Tony. Tony's frozen. I can't hear him right now. I'm assuming that his connection's okay. We'll just move on to Nick Marrett. I'd also like to say hi to Nick, who is the CEO of Gembridge. Nick has had many years' experience in digital transformation of various industries and founded Arcade, a leading digital marketing agency in Asia, which was one of the most innovative digital marketing agencies in that region. He founded the agency in 2010, and it was sold in 2018. He is now CEO of Gembridge. Hi there, Nick.
Hi, David. How are you doing?
Good. And I'd also like to introduce Mark Taylor, who joined forces with Nick in co-founding Arcade, and is very skilled also in the digital transformation of industries, having helped a number of big blue chip clients grow digitally in recent years. He also helped in the digital transformation of Nestlé, having been recently been based in China. Hi there, Mark.
Hi, David. Thanks so much for having us.
Good. So Nick will now present a slide presentation looking at Gembridge, which is one of the pioneering platforms for digital trading of coloured gemstones. So Nick, over to you.
Okay. So Jay, you're going to put the presentation up? Okay. Hang on, we've got Tony. Tony, you there?
Sorry, my internet just dropped out. Can you hear me now? Sorry, I didn't hear what was going on just now. Sorry about that.
Let's go back to our original plan, shall we? I'd like first for Tony to give us sort of an overview on Gembridge before we get into the detail of the slide presentation. So Tony, over to you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I hope I don't cut out again. As I'm talking, you'll see we have our showcase going. We are actually live. Gembridge is live. We've got an incredible collection of stones. I myself, for those of you who are not familiar with me, I've been based in Thailand for 38 years now. I'm extremely passionate about the industry. I've been involved in every facet from mining.
I think we're losing Tony. Can you hear Tony, Nick?
No, I think we have lost him. Maybe I'll just finish this bit, David. Yep. I think what the key point that Tony's making in this is that Gembridge is a passion project for Tony, who's been involved in the industry for a long time.
Rubies and sapphires in Africa, and this basically is the culmination of a lifetime's passion for Gembridge.
Hello.
Sorry. Hello.
Yeah,
Tony.
Sorry,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Your connection's been a bit intermittent.
Right. I'm trying. I'm sorry. This is very. I'm looking. I'm looking at my phone and my computer. I think it's better at this point. If Nick takes over.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Better.
Okay, I'll take over, Tony. I think the key point that Tony was making, other than his long history in the industry and his passion, is the key point is that Gembridge is a reality. We have had a platform live since the middle of this year in July. We invited a number of members from around the world. The people Tony had been working with for many decades. We have started to trade on the platform, and so in the context of the presentation, you're going to see Gembridge is about 4 months old, and as you'll see at the end of this presentation, we'll be inviting you, hopefully having given you this presentation and excited you to also register and become members of Gembridge. So I think, Jay, we can move on to the presentation now. Very good. Okay, let's start with really the idea on which we founded Gembridge, and it was an insight that we found very interesting, and that's an insight that supports our proposition of trade with trust. So trade with trust is our catch cry for Gembridge. It's our promise to our members and to you if you join, and it's based on this insight. And this is the lady featured in this is our ambassador in Geneva and is a member of Gembridge, Elke Burr. And the quote is an excellent quote, and it's our inspiration for building this. Today, we only trade with a handful of people we know. This is Elke. Now imagine trading with that same trust with people all over the world. That is what Gembridge can do for us all. And it was that insight that we found really inspiring. That over the years that many of you have worked in this industry, there's only probably a handful of people that you would trust, particularly with high value gems being traded internationally. What we saw in the opportunity that lays in front of us with Gembridge is replicating that trust and helping technology to scale it. So today you might have 6 to 10 people you trust. With Gembridge, our systems and the technology we'll introduce and our structures, like our global hubs around the world, we will give you the confidence and the systems and the reassurance to trade further. So what is Gembridge? Gembridge is a regulated B2B marketplace. It's global. We only trade certified gemstones, pearls, and jewelry. All our members are verified, whether you're a buyer, you're a seller, or you're a consignee. The service itself offers great convenience. It's secure, it's door-to-door, and it's insured. And our vision is, today our vision is a B2B site. Come next year, we'll be also launching platforms in the B2C and the C2C markets. Okay.
Nick, can I just ask you, where is Gembridge positioned in the market? Is it sort of the middle end or towards the top end of the market?
We're in the top half of the market. I mean, when Tony goes through some of the examples of the stones that you find on our showcase and in our shop fronts today, we most definitely fit. We fit in the top half of the market. One of the key, so what I'm going to do now is just go through the 3 or 4 pillars on which we deliver that promise of trade with trust. And the first one is that we're one of probably the world's only regulated trading platform to trade gemstones, pearls, and jewelry. We're regulated out of Singapore. Singapore has what they call a Precious Stones, Precious Metals Trading Act, it licensed trading platforms and dealers. That regulatory framework has come from a global framework that has been adopted by Singapore, and it's very exciting. I think particularly for people who obviously are new to Gembridge and looking to join. An international platform like Gembridge has to launch. It launches overnight, but one of the key things is for it to give you confidence and reassurance that we're a company that operates at the highest professional levels. What this does is the regulator in Singapore issues guidelines to us that we must meet on a daily basis. We get audited by a regulator, which gives the reassurance to our members that everything that we do meets the high standards of the regulator in Singapore in general. As you know, many of you would know, Singapore is a country well known for its transparency, for its the rule of law, and also its independence. And the same people who regulate the financial hub are also the same institutions that regulate us. They specifically look at transactions, and this is why we were very excited when we started talking to them and successfully applied for this license. They look at each transaction. They look at how it's being paid, obviously the use of the funds, and also the people involved. And all these things are critical to sort of give you the reassurance that we're a professional company, we're an intermediary, and that we can provide the service that we promise.
And Nick, could I ask you, among there are a few digital trading platforms now arising for colored gemstone trading. As far as you're aware, is Gembridge the only properly regulated platform?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, we are. I mean, I think that Singapore has taken a lead on, there's regulations being developed around the world by the Fast Action Task Force, which is based out of Europe. And that's introducing these new regulatory frameworks in about 200 territories around the world. Singapore, as it always does, it jumps on these new developments because new regulations are going to create new standards. And I think what the exciting thing about us, being successful in our application for this license is we're going to trade in a process and with protocols that I think are going to become more important as we move forward over the next couple of years. Because these are not the guidelines that Singapore has adopted are not Singapore guidelines. They're international guidelines, and they're relevant to the international gemstone, pearl, and jewelry industry. It's just that Singapore is is one of the first, if not the first, territory in the world to adopt them. And I think that's going to a large degree future-proof not only us but for our members as they look, to undertake international trade and all the complications that come with that. As we all know, that with Gembridge, they'll know that we are operating in the most advanced regulatory environment, and with clear vision of where the regulatory environment is moving, and hopefully that future-proofs them and all our members in their future operations.
And Nick, could you just tell us very briefly, just for context, why you believe a digital trading platform is needed now for colored gemstones, pearls, and jewelry? I mean, Gembridge isn't the only one. There are some other platforms arising. Yeah. Why is this happening?
Well, I think digital transformation is affecting and changing every industry in the world to one way or another. I mean, and it's not just because industries can work more efficiently and transparently, and I think that helps industries grow. But you just look at the consumer. The rate of change of the behavior of the consumer is amazing. You look, for example, the fastest growing, so not the largest, the fastest growing section of the global e-commerce market is luxury goods, and clearly what we're talking about here falls into that category. And as we know, COVID has obviously thrown some challenges at us, but the reality is these trends were around before COVID. All COVID's going to do is accelerate them, and as they accelerate, you need to be in a position to make the most of them. I mean, what I've heard a lot from the trade, and we're obviously talking to our members every day, is just the sheer disruption of current supply chains right throughout the colored gemstone industry. And I think, you know, one thing that Gembridge can offer is new opportunities, because in a very safe environment, you can meet new potential trading partners. You can trade with them in a system that will allow you to have probably advance those relationships quicker, because you can develop trust and you can rely on the system. But ultimately, I think, you know, to answer your question, everything, we live in a world of rapid change at the moment. I think we must adopt digital best practice.
Yeah, and just one last question, if I may. Well, no, go ahead to talk about this. This is quite interesting. Go ahead, please.
One of the key things, one of the key obligations we have actually under our regulation is we need to verify every member, and this is crucial as you know, as you expand. You know, if we take the example of disrupted supply chains, the only answer to disrupted supply chains is to find new business partners. But finding new business partners comes with an inherent risk, and that's that you don't have 20 years of working with someone. So one of the key things one of the reasons we embrace the regulation is that also under the regulation we're obliged to verify all our members. And I think that goes a long way with today's data and advanced technology. You can rapidly do incredibly thorough and stringent searches on members of your customer base. So for us, just on one side, our verification process starts with a peer review, and that's as simple as a phone call. So once someone registers, Tony or one of our other team members phones up that person, introduces ourselves, gets to know that person, because clearly we want to provide a service that meets their demands and their expectations of Gembridge. We find people that we know in common within the industry, ideally already members of Gembridge, and that we complete the peer review process through those people that we commonly know, to ensure that they're a member of the trade and that they're someone of good standing. Then we go into the international screening process, which we have access through our regulator to databases that are impossible to get commercially. So no matter how much money you spend, you can't get the sort of databases, particularly those people who perhaps are involved in legal activity like terrorism financing. So we screen for money launderers, terrorism financiers, politically exposed people, criminals, sanction busters, and adverse media. Adverse media is quite an interesting one, because it picks up on a lot of recent behavior that can actually portend to someone who perhaps wouldn't be a good business partner. And the one thing I would touch on with terrorism finance is you need to be very careful as you begin to put your supply chains back together and you search for new opportunities. One thing that I've discovered is you can inadvertently end up doing business with someone who's linked to terrorism, and once you are and you're identified in the international community, it can be very difficult. It can be very difficult to reverse out of that situation. In many cases, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. And we have international databases, as I said, that you can't get commercially through our regulator that specializes in this area. And I think it's one thing that we do that I don't think anyone else who's providing the service that we are providing can offer. And I think it's a really important one. Here is on the other side of this slide, there's just a quote that we'd like to share. Sorry, Jay, you've gone once. Yeah, thank you. From our customer, Edward, Rare Source. Many of you would probably know Edward in North America. In his summary, I think really his quote summarizes the benefits of this part of our offering. So he says, trading in a marketplace where all parties have been internationally vetted and peer reviewed provides additional confidence that you'll get paid in a timely manner and the customer is getting what they paid for. And I think, we have these pillars and these parts of our service are technical, but at the end of the day, they have to deliver something that's commercially important to you. And I think there's nothing more important than new relationships. And within those new relationships, you get paid in a timely manner. And if you're buying, that you get exactly what you paid for. And at Gembridge, no matter what we bring to market from a technical point of view, we always have the ultimate commercial benefit in mind for you guys. The next pillar is every precious stone on Gembridge is certified. This is an interesting one because when we started Gembridge, one of the what was clear to us, given that we were operating in the top of the market, was that all the stones and jewelry that would be listed on Gembridge would obviously come with international certs from labs that were reputable. And so there wasn't necessarily need to do another cert. But what's true of all remote trading platforms is that because you've got the tyranny of distance between the buyer and the seller, there needs to be an independent quality control mechanism to ensure the quality of the product. And so what we did is, knowing that the majority, if not all of our stones are certified, what we needed to do was develop a system that was quick and affordable, that after the transaction was completed, then the seller could send their stone with the cert to an independent lab partner of Gembridge and get that cert matched to the stone before it is dispatched to the buyer via secure courier. And so we've been working in Bangkok. Tony in particular has been working with ICA Gem Lab. Some of you will be familiar with that. I think a lot more of you will be familiar with Ken Scarrett. Ken and the Gembridge team have been working together to develop this verification report, which is setting a new standard in verification in terms of the role it plays. So what it does, as I say, is it matches the cert and the gemstone. And here we have a quote from Ken saying, a new standard of lab report has been created to verify that the precious stones traded on Gembridge match their certificates prior to final delivery. And so once again, this function of Gembridge delivers a very important commercial benefit to our members. Okay.
Nick, could I ask you, are you looking also to work with other labs?
Yes. So you'll see that when we get to the global hub slide, you'll see a critical part of our global hub is a lab partner in every key global hub. And what we're doing is we're taking the verification report standard that was developed by Ken and actually rolling it around the world.
Very good. If I just would like to say to everybody watching this, if you have questions, please do put your questions on the Q&A tab. We will have a Q&A session at the end of Nick's presentation. Back to you, Nick.
Yep. Responsible sourcing is key. Responsible sourcing is key because it's the right thing to do, I think, first and foremost, and it's definitely in line with our values and also the values of the members that we've attracted to Gembridge. But it's also very important in terms of our recognition and respect from other parts of the business community as well. So it's something that we take very seriously. It's something that all our pioneer clients take very seriously. We are a member of the Responsible Jewellery Council. We have a membership pending with SIBJO. It's a commitment that we are going to put high on the list at Gembridge. We are developing a number of technologies, particularly in the blockchain area, that will allow us to support our values with actions and services and functions. But suffice to say, it's important, and it'll be a priority for us. Yep. So as we go into now how it works. So what I've described to you over the last sort of 8 minutes or so is the key pillars which allow us to deliver trade with trust. Now we look at actually how the system works. So basically what we offer is a system that allows you to buy, sell, and consign gems. One of the key points of difference for Gembridge vis-a-vis other platforms that are developing in the market is the second point, which is counterparty risk managed. A key part of what we offer is the ability for you to join as a member of Gembridge and begin to trade with new business partners with the assurance that you're trading within a model and protocols that allow you to trade confidently, knowing that you're going to get paid for what you sell and you're going to get exactly what you buy when you purchase. The other key thing is secure payment. We take payment in advance, and then we hold payment. And so we hold payment in the case of a transaction that might happen between Asia and Europe, you might have a buyer in Europe and you might have a seller in Asia. The way the transaction works is that the buyer in Europe transfers funds to Gembridge. Again, we're regulated. These funds are tracked. We hold the funds. The seller in, let's say, the seller's in Bangkok, would then deliver their stone together with their certificate to our international lab partner. We would do the verification to make sure that the cert matches the gem, and then it would be dispatched directly from the lab to the buyer, door to door via a secure courier. Our secure courier partner is Brinks, to Europe, and on delivery, the funds would be released and we'd have 2 happy members. So it's a very important part of our service to ensure that those counterparty risks are managed on behalf of both parties. Okay. As we touched on just a moment ago, we clearly the platform is the heart and soul of Gembridge, and it reaches a global market. But there's no question, there is an offline part of this service that's very critical, and so we'll be developing hubs in every major market in the world, not every country in the world. We have begun to roll out hubs. Those hubs are in Bangkok and the Middle East and Geneva, and they will include, coming soon, are a number of other hubs in various parts of the world, including North America and South America. Each hub actually has 4 very important components, and the hub that you see here is Bangkok. So Tony obviously plays the role of the ambassador. So in each of our hubs, whether it's in Geneva or it's in the Middle East, or where they're going to be in the future, like Colombia or Brazil, we'll have an ambassador. The ambassador is someone of very high standing in the industry, someone who probably has a leadership role in an association already, and that person, basically represents us and engages with that market and introduces our service to people and gets members to join. We also have the lab partner, which I touched on, which is critical. The lab partner provides those independent verification reports before shipping, and as I've said before, is a critical part of our quality control mechanism. We also have Gembridge Studio, and we're going to touch on this in the next couple of slides. One of the biggest challenges of being a remote trading platform in this business is being able to convey the sort of information that allows you to make sound commercial decisions. And that information can be conveyed in words, but there's nothing better than an extremely good video and photography. And so that Gembridge is investing a very large amount of money in creating new standards in visual representation of stones and jewelry. And we've got a slide coming up on that, so I won't spoil that. But it's a very, very important part of our offering. And there's a photographic studio in each of our hubs. And then, of course, the last part of our hub is the membership team. They'll be supporting people in the country and region where the hub is located and just facilitating business. Okay. Now, I'm just going to hand it over to Mark. He's just going to take you through the key pages on the platform and the roles they play. Mark, over to you.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, I'll quickly take you through a couple of features. As we've built Gembridge from day 0, it's always been for our members. In the very beginning, it was working with closely and how we can build the best possible experience And now today, it's still very collaborative with our members. We're looking into how they work, how they buy, sell, and consign, even to the point of going into social commerce and chat apps and how people actually interact in that way with the industry. So starting off with our showcase, if you go to gembridge.com, you'll be guided to our showcase, which lists everything we have, which is now approaching about 200 listings. And here you can search. There are suggestions for top searches, and then individually you can go through all the listings as one repository for everything. But this breaks down. If you go to the next slide, as the listings build, we are very focused on curating listings. So every member has a shop front. On the next slide, every member has a shop. Thank you. Every member has a shop front that is basically their curated listings, which only displays what is available from them. And each shop front features logo, imagery, the story, the background of the story, all building the credibility for every member, and even links to their website, social media. So it's a really true representation of the member's business and also the listings. And each listing, as I go into every listing, you can see there the cards. We call them the listing cards. It represents basic information, how the item is tagged, if you are logged in, the price. And if you view more, you can actually see the full listing, which you'll see on the next couple of slides. But also I can add my requirements. Very importantly, we're always on the lookout. Our job in matching buyers, sellers, and consignees, those few sides, we're always listening out for when there are requirements out there. And this will become a very active part of our offering, is that you can actually tell us what you're looking for so that we can match, we can source items.
Mark, can I ask you, this is live, right, for members already? Is that correct?
Absolutely. All of this is live. The showcase is live. Shopfronts are live for members. So they can actually share their shopfront URL. It's a unique website address with their shopfronts. And so when I visit Gembridge, all I see is that member's listings. Requirements is live as well, all on gembridge.com.
Maybe if I can just add, one of the really exciting things about shopfronts is your you have a curated space that you can direct your important clients to, that is exclusively yours. It's customizable. So we're happy to work with our members to customize it. But at the same time that you have that curated space, all your listings remain listed on our main shop showcase and benefit from the buyers that are obviously on the platform. And so I think there's a double benefit. But having an exclusive space that you can direct people to, there's clearly a lot of benefits to that.
Mm. And this will evolve to curated listings for trade shows and other reasons. It could even be around trends. So we're really exploring how, with the wealth and so many options and items out there, to how we can actually distill that down to what I'm really looking for. On the next slide is, and this all culminates in our listings. So as Nick said, we've put a lot of effort into telling each stone story. So when we're remote purchasing, it's very hard, obviously, to assess an item properly because it's not physically in front of us, and that's for a number of reasons. So we've done our best so far to deliver an experience that covers off as many of those gaps and questions as possible. Again, working closely with our members. So in every listing, starting with Gembridge Studio, where when a stone is sent to Gembridge Studio, we put a lot of thought and care into capturing not only the eye view of the stone, but also the loop, a new technique of loop view for the stone, working on the spot with experts to verify that the color is as accurate as possible from the studio to the digital environment, on the computer. So to the point where it's put up on the listing. There's a certification and other information for the actual stone, how its item is classified in terms of its tags. And then we're also looking at video content for every item. So we have 360 videos of the stone. And again, we're constantly progressing how to improve that. But also we've added Gembridge reviews where it's an expert voice on the stone. If I cannot see it in front of me, this is an opportunity for the expert to actually give their point of view in a blog style video for every item as well. So again, it's just filling that story with all the rich information to make as accurate a decision as possible.
Can I just add, in terms of true nature, this is the area where we are making our single largest investment as a platform, outside clearly the development of the platform. We see this as the greatest challenge in terms of remote platforming. In terms of remote platform, and the ability to communicate this and give people all the information to make the best commercial decision is a vision that we're going to continue to carry on. We're going to continue to innovate. We are where we are today. We're very excited about where we are, and you'll see when you go to the showcase the amount of information we convey and how efficient it is. But this is not the innovation, and the investment in this is not going to stop. It's going to continue, right, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an ongoing process. Tony is a very is a challenging taskmaster. It's the standards are constantly pushed, and that's really great for us, because it's like this nirvana that we'll always pursue in terms of the true nature of the stone. Yeah, so it's an ongoing thing for sure.
Actually, if I can just jump in, just so that I am actually here now. I'm able to see on my mobile phone, unfortunately. But as an example, today we had a lovely 5-carat Colombian emerald, which we shot today. We had a pair of 10-carat emeralds as well, Colombian, and of course I have the video that takes place, which we will showcase a little bit later on in this presentation. But the key issue is that you can actually see the stone, and I will actually explain exactly what the stone is. Oh, here we are. It's a lovely piece. It has a slight inclusion or a slight feather just under the table, but it's not a major distraction. This gives a buyer, one of our members, absolute confidence that they're able to make an informed purchase online. This is the crucial thing that we're looking to achieve. And as we grow and develop over the coming years, we're going to bring online some amazing technologies, which you'll be able to zoom in and out on the stone, rotate the stone as if you had it in your hand. This is a crucial part of the Gembridge platform moving forward. Thank you.
And Tony, if I could ask you, you seem to have attracted some extraordinary stones in the listings there. I mean, I can see some very large unheated rubies with fabulous color. How have you managed to do that?
Well, what can I say? I'm, dare I say, very well connected in the industry, as was mentioned earlier. And I've got a lot of friends who have been very happy to join Gembridge. And here, for instance, on the left is that amazing 9.29 carat Mozambique no heat ruby. It's a spectacular piece. It truly is. It's clean. It's got a very open color. And that's from Sant Enterprises, Santpal here in Bangkok. Then, of course, you've got that lovely 23 carat, I believe that's the Sri Lankan no heat sapphire as well. Sorry, I can't see it. As I said, I'm on my phone. That's a gorgeous piece, great color, lovely cut. And of course, the 3.67 vivid green minor oil Colombian emerald there is a standout piece. It's truly spectacular. My wife has her eyes on that, actually. And then and that was from KGK. The sapphire was from or is from Crown Color. And then the other piece there, which is, again, we do have an amazing collection of jewelry, is from Diamrusa, Kunsalil. That's a 5-carat clean ruby, no heat from Mozambique, set in a gorgeous piece of jewelry. And again, they all have individual, actually my personal input on the pieces to increase the knowledge and the information of the piece to inform the buyer or member of a purchase. That's crucial for the Gembridge platform.
Yeah. And you've clearly already attracted some of the world's leading suppliers and manufacturers in colored gemstones. I mean, these are big names: Sant, Crown Color, Diamrusa, KGK. They're all very well known. Bear and Partners in Geneva. Yes,
absolutely. And of course, we've got many more coming along. We've got major suppliers in Colombia, major suppliers in Brazil. Edward Burm, of course, North America, Rare Source is already a member. We are building up ahead of steam. We've got our new ambassador in Sri Lanka. We're also getting the Gembridge studio established there. So we anticipate over the next 6 months there'll be quite a large input of very fine Sri Lankan sapphires and Colombian emeralds. And of course, in Europe, where there's an incredible collection of old jewelry, antique jewelry, this is all going to come onto the platform given time.
Back to you, Mark.
Okay, I think this is where I come back in. This just gets into the details of how to sell and buy on Gembridge. There's basically three ways that you can buy and sell. So having seen something that you like, the easiest way is to buy it directly from the showcase or the shop front, and that is the most straightforward process. And we arrange obviously for it to be independently verified and then delivered to you as the buyer. The second way is through secure viewing room, which is an option via Brinks. Brinks is our global transport partner and secure shipment partner. That is available in key cities. So for example, it's available in cities like Geneva and London in Europe, just to take that market as an example. And that allows the buyer to view the stone in the Brinks office under CCTV, and then accept it on the spot, or decide that they don't want to proceed. So in that case, that offers a return back to Gembridge itself. And then the third one, which is very clearly very important to this industry, is the ability to consign to Gembridge for members for up to 3 to 6 months. This is a critical offering, and a very important part of way the industry does its business. The consignment is particularly useful in Gembridge because we're consigning within a verified community of members. So your ability to consign outside your core 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 established global partners over the last few decades, those 5 or 6 people that you trust, you can begin to consign with more people. One of the things we've worked on in terms of the consignment product is we've worked with the international insurance industry. We've developed a methodology, a sort of a protocol of consignment that brings the consignor and consignee together. And we also bring the respective insurance companies of both the consignor and consignee together. And we have a process in which we can actually insure the goods on consignment. In many cases, as I'm sure everyone will nod their heads, is there's an enormous amount of stock that gets consigned without being insured. And that's something that was a challenge that we immediately took up at Gembridge, because as you move into sort of remote trading and you begin to have to trade over a distance, and in a world where, as we say, supply chains are being disrupted and you need to bring new partners on to just merely to sustain business, let alone grow it, you do have to start working with new people. And that means you need to find systems that manage the risk. And we have come up with a very innovative system to consign that we'd be more than happy to share with interested parties. And once again, in the event that it sells on consignment, then the transaction is executed through Gembridge. In the event the gem doesn't sell on consignment, it's returned. So there's a return policy there too. Okay. This gets to the fun bit, which is what we charge. We basically charge on success. It's a platform like ours. There's a few models, and to be honest, we thought about them all because we should. There's a subscription model. There's a sales commission model, but we felt for the launch of Gembridge, the appropriate model was a commission based on transaction that was split between the seller and the buyer. Seller being 5%, the buyer being 3%. The imagery service that I touched on in these hubs, so this is available in Bangkok, it's available in the Middle East, it's available in Geneva, it will be available in other places around the world over the coming months. That is complementary. And the reason it's complementary is I think, I mentioned, this is one area that we are investing an enormous amount of money. Outside the actual platform itself, this is the second largest area of investment. And so the great thing about our members is that they can come in They, you know, if we take Bangkok as an example, they call Tony and talk to him about what needs to be posted, and they bring sort of created on a preview and posted live on Gembridge. They come in and we take fantastic images of their stones and videos, and that's a service that we pay for and that we will continue to pay for in the foreseeable future, because we believe it's that important to the service that we provide our members. Shipping verification, a critical part of the quality control, that's paid for by the seller. Secure shipping to the buyer is paid for by the buyer. Secure viewing room, in the event you want to opt for that service via Brinks, that is also paid by the buyer, but at discounted rates. We have negotiated with Brinks. And then there's a service fee charged by Gembridge for anything we facilitate. But I mean, just to make a general statement about all our fees, I think the world of, you know, our business model is changing, and there's no question that it is. I mean, if you just take, for example, you think about how much money you had to put aside for travel, and clearly no one's spending that this year and possibly even next year. So our business models are changing, but the one principle when we think about how we create our charging structure is that in this changing world, the cost of doing business is changing, and that cost should be bared in equal part by the buyer and seller. That is the principle that guides us when we try to set, you know, when we look at how we charge, the structure of how we charge and the amount of how we charge. So whether it's commission or whether it's transport or whether it's imagery, it's always shared. And I think that's going to continue to guide us. And I think that's a pretty good principle on which to you know, continue to make decisions. Okay. And so this just coming almost to the end of the presentation. How do I register? You know, we'd love you to register for Gembridge. It's very easy. You go to gembridge.com/register. You fill out a short registration form. Please fill in all your details, because those details are really important to the verification process. If you don't, you're going to get an email from the Gembridge team requesting for any missing information, because we can't proceed without it. It's not very onerous. It's just your full name, your company name. Clearly, this is a trade platform, so you need to be part of the trade. For now, it'll be a B2C. Our B2C will be a separate platform, and there'll be a different registration process. What that registration process allows you to do is you become part of an exclusive membership. You'll be able to view listings in the Gembridge showcase. And just to emphasize, if you're not a verified member and you don't have password privileges, you'll go to gembridge.com, but you won't see any of the prices, because as a B2B platform, those prices can only be viewed by the trade. So it's important that you become a member just for that reason. You'll be able to buy from today, as you've seen Tony took you through the beginning of those live listings. We're live. You can buy today. You could buy yesterday. We've been up for 4 months. So have a look at some of the fantastic items that we have and articles we have on the showcase, and you can buy. We're interested. At launch, we're going to be publicly launching the platform in the first quarter of next year. Once at the public launch, we'll be sending an email out and communicating with all our members to then say that they will have the ability to begin to list. You know, and clearly we would encourage people to come into the hubs and allow us to use our proprietary imaging system to make sure that their listings are world class in terms of images and videos, and they'll also be able to consign. So just in short, you can become a member now. We'll take you through the verification process. It'll set you up for the public launch in the first quarter of next year. You can browse and buy right now today, and then within the first quarter, when we list, when we launch, you will be able to list and you will be able to consign. Okay, next slide, thanks. I think Tony, you just finish it off, perhaps talking about some of our clients and also the countries they're from, and wrap up the presentation.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Nick. Well, it's been a lovely presentation all around. As you can see there, we do have some amazing members already. We've got the KGK Group, the world's largest diamond manufacturer from Jaipur. They're bringing to us primarily Colombian emeralds and Zambian emeralds also from the Kargem mine. We've also got Diamrusa, of course, top 3 high-end manufacturer here in Thailand. We've got Crown Color, Lewis Allen, a very good friend of mine, who's got an amazing collection of rubies, sapphires, and emeralds. He's probably, well, I think he's probably top 3 worldwide for his emerald collection. Edward Burm, I mentioned earlier, Rare Source, incredible collection of stones. His uncle, I believe it was Dr. Gublin. His reputation precedes him. And then, of course, we've got Elke Bear and her husband in Switzerland. They've got some amazing antique pieces, which are already featured on the platform. And then, of course, in the Middle East, we've got Jean Girondini, my very old friend, who has access to some incredible antique pieces of jewelry, which will be brought to the platform early next year. So all in all, we have an incredible team. We're very passionate about what we do. I hope we've conveyed that to you. We are live. We look forward to you joining us. Register, please. And early next year, be ready for Gembridge to really set the scene for how online trading should be carried out. This is our passion, and we look forward to you joining us. Thank you very much for all your attention. David, would you like to wrap up here, please?
Yeah, well, actually, we've got the Q&A, and we've got quite a lot of questions. So let's power through them. Firstly, a question from Irene Martin-Smith. Hi, Irene. Are you able to certify stones that are already set as jewellery? Nick?
I think Tony can answer that question.
Yes, absolutely. But
Yeah.
yes, indeed we can. When you submit a piece of jewellery, depending which laboratory you use, they will, of course, unless you allow them to, or you remove the stone from the jewellery, they will just have an estimate of the stone's weight. So in fact, if you take a piece of jewellery and it has an accompanying certificate of the loose stone, they will then still say according to the client. Unless they can actually physically weigh the stone in a piece of jewellery, they will only just go, they basically say it was the client's estimate of the weight. But you can indeed just have a piece of jewellery tested, yes.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder, please, please submit your questions on the Q&A function only, not the chat function, the Q&A function. Question from Nada Al-Sulaiti. Where is the hub located in the Middle East? Is it active now?
Indeed it is. We have a hub in Bahrain. We have a partner there that we're working closely with. Brinks are already established there. So yes, we're ready to work if there's someone who has interest in the Middle Eastern market, yes.
Okay. And Miriam Mimo Kamau asks, can you please consider Africa as a hub?
We will indeed. I've actually been to, I was mining in Africa. I had a ruby and sapphire mine in Tanzania. I have a good collection of stones from there. But at this point in time, Kenya would probably be one of the options from a coloured stone perspective. I've got a lot of friends there and in Tanzania, old friends. A lot of people talk about South Africa, which is, again, another strong possibility. Cape Town is Mark's hometown, my partner there. So we would definitely be looking at South Africa, yes.
There's a question from James Slade. Hi, James. We recently connected on LinkedIn. Glad to be chatting with you now. I actually don't understand the second part of your question, but the first part says, what is out there to prevent copycat platforms? And then you go on to say, and WGAT is the defining IPOF Gembridge. I don't understand that. Maybe Nick does.
Well, I think one of the things that we endeavour to do is one with the only regulated platform, and as I said, that gives us access to an enormous amount of information that's important to de-risking international trade in gemstones. Secondly, we have a commitment to manage the counterparty risks. We're not a matchmaker. We're very good at matchmaking, but our core service is to manage the risks within a transaction, remotely, so that both the buyer and seller get a very satisfactory outcome of it. The third thing, where as I said in the presentation, we're putting an enormous amount of investment in being able to tell the story of a gem, of the true nature of the gem. And that is moving forward on a number of fronts. That is a journey that innovation, is every day. It doesn't stop. It's going to be a project very close to our hearts for the next 10 years, because the secret to successful remote purchasing is being able to convey that key information as efficiently as possible. It's with words, it's with vision, it's using amazing technology. We're committed to making large investments in that, and I think ultimately the commercial benefit that gives to our clients is they can make fantastic commercial and personal decisions remotely, given the information that they will be able to draw from any single listing on Gembridge. That's a massive commitment. Sorry.
Yeah, I think another point is the intelligence behind the system. We are actively investing in developing the intelligence behind discovery, behind matching buyers and sellers, how the system is automated and stitches that all together behind the scenes as well. That'll be a key one going forward.
Thank you very much. Question from Philippe Bélier. I think for Nick, this one. Is the Singapore government license recognized globally as being the, quote, gold standard for trading gemstones? Does the license have the regulatory equivalence in, say, New York City or Switzerland?
Well, I think that what I do know is that the FATF, the Fast Action Task Force, which is part of the OECD, is rolling out basically regulation changes and new frameworks right across the world. A lot of it, it's industry specific in some cases. Money laundering and terrorism financing clearly affects every single industry on the planet. So what I can say is that Singapore is one of the first countries to adopt it. And I think it's clear, because all the other 200 territories will be following, is that today, I guess it would be a gold standard in the sense that it's one of the first. And what it does is it gives us a very clear view of the future. And if our members, if we've got a prospective member sitting there today on this call thinking about why should I join Gembridge, one of the reasons is because I think we are the future. We are building our processes around the regulatory framework that's going to be rolled out in 200 countries around the world. So jumping on board with us today will, to a degree, future-proof you, particularly from regulatory changes and reforms. So I say, in a sense, yeah, it is gold standard, but it's a gold standard where a lot of other countries will catch up over the next 5 to 10 years. But like everything on a company and a platform like Gembridge, you're innovating the whole time. So today, it's clearly a competitive advantage, particularly with information on potential business partners and verification. But tomorrow there'll be other innovations and there'll be other gold standards. But I think it does, in short, give us a pretty good advantage.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Thank you. James Slade is asking, what IT security have you incorporated generally to prevent successful hacks? And how is Gembridge insured, i.e. for what eventualities?
Well, we have a jeweler's block. So we, our commitment to insurance is clearly there. In terms of security, the actual platform is built on a provider that provides, I think, somewhere in the vicinity of about 25 to 30% of all e-commerce platforms in North America and mostly across the world. So the basis on which we actually build is very, very solid. And that clearly part and parcel of that is security, and why that particular platform is so popular. I mean, we are also in the process of developing our own enterprise level software, which will be launched next year. And like any enterprise software, a priority will be security, as well as obviously the treatment the treatment of data and personal information. We just also, under our obligations in our license, all data that we take in is protected under the Singapore Data Privacy Act as well. And so it's not just about external protection of security, it's also making sure that the use of the data as it comes in is ring fenced and treated with total respect, I think.
Thank you. Miriam Mimo Kamau makes a comment. She says Kenya would be best positioned regarding the African hub, being in Africa and the heart of Africa, where the majority of colored gemstones are sourced and exported from. We've got another question from James Slade. Are you catering for blockchain transactions now or later?
Mark, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, blockchain is a very interesting territory, and it's easy to get caught up in the hype around it. It has a certain role to play, and we are definitely exploring blockchain in terms of transactions, data storage, including also when you look at provenance as well in storing and monitoring, tracking that data. But at the moment, we are very focused on the transactions and everything we've explained today. So that is a potential in the future that we're looking at, and how to incorporate that, including artificial intelligence and other areas. But as of today, not yet. But it is very much in our plans of what we're looking at for the horizon.
Thanks, Mark. Nicholas Volpe asks, is buying just for small dealers or only big dealers? And also asks, is there a cost to register?
Well, I'll deal with the cost, and then Tony can deal with the size. To register, there is no cost. So you come on board. You'll go through the peer review and the verification process. You will then be issued, once that's successful, you'll then be issued with a username and a password and account number. You'll be free to then log in. You will then at that point be able to view the prices, and only at that point will you be able to view the prices. If you then choose to go on to transact, at your first transaction, we ask for a $250 deposit, which is fully refundable. The reason we ask for the deposit is, the people that we would like to attract are the people who are interested in doing deals and trading. There is a big community of people who are spectators that that we have respect for, but at the end of the day, they're not why we have created the Gembridge platform. We've created the Gembridge platform for people who are passionate and who are in this business, and have gemstones to sell or an intention to buy. So that's the $250 deposit. It's a amount of money that we feel is enough to dissuade the people who don't want to participate in trading, and is modest enough to not stop people from signing on. Then, as I said, the rest of the fees are paid post the transaction. So listing, etc., there's no fees. Once it's listed and the transaction occurs, then you begin to, there's a cost of sales that includes, for example, the verification report or the transport, by the buyer from the seller to their office on the other side of the world, for example, which I think would be anticipated. So that answers that first question. Tony, in terms of small and large.
Well,
dealers?
I think at this moment in time, we have a sort of a benchmark, which is $7,500 sort of minimum transaction. Bearing in mind, this is a B2B platform. There's no limit, of course. We've already got pieces on the platform that are over $1 million. But it's a benchmark to $7,500. But as we progress forward, mid to end of next year, the potential is, as the amount of members increases, that amount might drop down. It might drop down to $5,000, $4,000, $3,000. At this point, we don't know, but that's where we will eventually end up. And one other thing, we are obviously going to be looking at a B2C platform at the mid to end of next year, which is going to be very exciting for all concerned. And ideally, we will get to the point where we can have a C2C platform. They will be 3 different platforms with 3 different pricing structures, and one person cannot, obviously, an end user can't be making access to the B2B platform. They will be kept separate. So there will be a chain of supply along the platforms. I hope that answers the question.
So Tony, could I ask you, I mean, in terms of your longer term vision, would a platform like Gembridge ultimately be competing, say, with the auction houses? I mean, I noticed in the Geneva sales last week, for example, that there were some sales online by the big auction houses of exquisite gemstones unmounted. So
Indeed. Yes, we are already building in some basic functions, auction house functions. We will be having a bidding function that's being put together as we speak. And as we move forward, we will be having live auctions for particular pieces that will be obviously promoted accordingly. But that will be mid next year onwards.
Yeah, excellent. So a question from Dear Maid Kelly. Thanks for the question. Is it your intention to create a price for comparable stones, or will the details remain just between buyer and seller? Tony.
Sorry, I don't quite understand the question.
I think the question is: are they? The question that's been asked is: are we going to provide pricing information to the market like an index, which is something we're considering, Mark? Correct.
Mark, you're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's a big part of that discovery and understanding education is knowing what's happening in the market. On one hand, it's price information in a fair measured way, but then also in terms of what's trending at the moment, similar items, and yeah, definitely that's a very big part of what we're going to do going forward.
Okay, thank you. Philip Beaulieu is asking, can prices be negotiated? How about bulk discounts?
At this point in time, we are tending towards not having any negotiation on pricing. The prices are set on the B2B platform. That may change as we move forward, but at this point in time, we're focusing on just a fixed price. As I said earlier, we will be having auction functionality, and that will be a different situation whereby the market will set the price. And of course, there'll be a reserve in place.
It's important to add at this point that you'll notice in every listing, there's a WhatsApp button. So if you have questions about any individual listing, go to the listing and tap the WhatsApp button, which will connect you with us to have a conversation about that particular item, that listing, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mark. Question from Anjum Cave, one of our regular attendees on Jewellery Outlook webinars. Hi, Anjum. Hello, how will you ensure your competitive edge or advantage? Who are your competitors?
Well, I mean, there's a few platforms that have launched recently. I mean, one thing that we believe is the market's large enough for more than one platform, and you know, even now, as you see various platforms launching, there's Jeweller's Circle, there's GemCloud, each and ourselves each seem to have their own area that they've kind of staked their claim and their vision for the future. And you know, our message to those two and anyone else out there is good luck. It is good for the industry that there are more than one platform developing, because the challenges facing the industry is it's important that there's a lot of good minds working on this. And as I said, already you can see there's areas of specialty that differentiate us from other players. So we're fully supportive and most sincerely would say good luck, and the opportunities to collaborate we would actually be very open to. We're sort of natural, very collaborative people with our backgrounds, and through collaboration the industry can only be served better by all of us, I think.
Yeah. I've noticed the very cordial relationship between the different new platforms, which is absolutely great. A question from an anonymous attendee. Are you using a color matching system, Pantone, RAL, RGB, as a reference tool, since screening calibrations differ among users? Sounds like that one's for you, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. We're exploring a few systems at the moment to see which would be best suited for us, and that's a process of research, working with our members to validate them, experimenting with how they work in practice. So that's definitely a very important part of what we're doing going forward. But we haven't locked that down yet because we're still seeing what's best solution for us.
And I think that sort of fits into that true nature. It goes back to that whole area of us investing, an enormous amount of what we're raising in that area to be the best to communicate that true nature and the information required to make a great commercial or personal decision on a gemstone remotely.
And we're also very aware that from the original stone to the digital environment at the end of the day, whether I'm in a remote mine or Geneva on a phone or a laptop, these are all factors in that accuracy of what's represented on screen. And so our research goes, yes, color systems, but also at the end of the day, when we're looking at, whether I look at an iPhone or a Samsung, we're researching how we can optimize that experience to be as smart as possible, again, to be as accurate as possible.
I'm going to keep plowing on with these questions. We are over time, but we're holding our numbers, and I think people really do want to get these questions answered. There's a big picture question from Abhishek Dandia, just looking at the big picture. What is the aim and objective of Gembridge?
Well, I think primarily it's to transform the way the business works internationally. I mean, the reality is the world is changing, and I think business is changing, and the way this industry works is changing. And I think it's not just about where how we can add value. The most important thing to us, and all when we first started this project, the most important meetings we had were with the people who have now become our members, and asking them what they wanted. What do they need over the next 10 to 20 years, and what was their vision? Because at the end of the day, if we're not adding value in that regard, then we really don't have a role to play. So that's number one. I think there's also a bigger vision in Gembridge, is that it's not only improving the way the industry works and transacts amongst itself, it's also looking at how the industry transacts with the broader part of the economy. So for a long time, this industry has been an outlier to the main business community, and I think there's a huge opportunity in the digitalization to begin to build bridges. And I'll just give you one example: is trade finance. If you're looking at it really beginning to stretch the horizon to say how could we really transform this industry, there is a huge amount of capital that is caught in the sort of transactional cycle and supply chain of this industry worldwide. And the industry has had issues achieving compliance with the financial sector, so banks and non-banking institutions. Through what Gembridge is doing, particularly through our status as a regulated body, we are regulated by the same people who regulate the financial industry. And one of the visions we have is not only trade with trust amongst ourselves within the industry, but also trade with trust with the broader business community, and bring big players who have been a bit reticent to step into this industry, like trade finance, to help our clients release all that capital caught up in supply chains and reinvest it in this business and grow it, in new and interesting ways. I mean, I think that's when you start looking a little bit over the horizon. So that would be my answer to that. I don't know, guys, if you would add anything to that.
Yeah,
No,
it's in the name, Gembridge.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's building those bridges of trust, I think, and you can through the people that were pulled together, but the processes, the partners, and if we do it right, the ability to grow this industry is actually really exciting.
Yeah, and it's what's so exciting in this industry that we're in is that the whole point is not to replace everything with technology and systems, but it's to actually embrace that human side of it, the knowledge, the passion, and then enable that, empower that through technology as well. And that's what we get so excited about, which is why our members community is so important, and the true nature of stones is so important, because that captures that passion and knowledge. And those are the things that we are enabling. Yeah, it's not just automation.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Martin Shenfield asks, presumably funds are held in separate escrow accounts and not with Gembridge, and are fully independently ring-fenced should Gembridge default or go into administration.
Yes, that is what we are setting up. We will have an escrow facility before we launch publicly in the first quarter of next year. We are currently, as we've said, we're in a minimum viable product, so we're in a limited test phase where we've invited pioneer members, and they have been transacting and operating in basically the setup that we have. What is being referred to there as an escrow is something that will be in place for our launch, our public launch in the first quarter of next year. But do remember, we are already a regulated body, and that transactions that occur through Gembridge are already under audit, and the part of that audit is the payment, which clearly is a critical part of it. The second part is the parties involved in the transaction.
Thanks, Nick. An anonymous questioner asks, how do Gembridge's commission fees compare to other competitor platforms?
I think the answer to that is pretty well. I mean, I think we have, we're respectful of, I mean, Tony would be able to speak perhaps a little bit better to this, but we clearly segment the market, and the B2B market is a very different market to the B2C. But I think in both cases, and the commissions that we presented today have been well received by the market. I think the feedback we've got is that we, in setting our commissions at the level we have, we clearly understand the market and the margins that are made in the wholesale market. And our ability, the point I made in my previous point is we've got to add value. We've got to provide a service at the right commission rate that the buyer and seller in the wholesale market feels will add value to their international transactions. And I think, given that we've been operating for 4 months, that we're transacting, we've got a full showcase, we've got happy members, I think shows that we've gone in at the right price point, certainly for wholesale.
Thanks, Nick. Hader Mani says, amazing vision and execution. As you are operating at the top end of the market, does this platform enable the sophisticated miners and disintermediate the small wholesalers? What do you think will happen to margins in the supply chain?
No, I think at this point we are facilitating business for the SMEs. I mean, one of my passions is to help the SMEs, the artisanal miners. So going forward, I mean, the responsible supply chain is going to be crucial for us. Obviously, you've got the major mining companies, of which there are very few actually worldwide, do tend to monopolize, and the idea is that they sell almost exclusively to the big brands. But you've noticed perhaps that even the brands now are branching out and are trying to have small ventures with SMEs, small aquamarine miners coming out of Brazil, or small rubellite miners out of Madagascar or whatever. This is a trend going forward, and Gembridge is going to be leading the way in that regard. That's why we're going to be working so closely, for instance, with the RJC and CIBJO, to ensure that the SMEs are fully represented along the line, and that the large corporations don't steamroll them, in effect. Does that? I hope that answers the question.
I think so. I mean, we might have lost David. Is David still there?
That could be the case. So who's? Are we
I think we can. Yeah, I think we might have to wrap it up ourselves. Do you want to do the honors, Tony? And
Yes,
thanking
well,
everyone.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, all the attendees, for being with us. We look forward to having you join us again. I think maybe David's coming back now, but I'll carry on. We will be having regular webinars moving forward. We'd like very much for you to join us, and please get the word out. Gembridge is here, and we look forward to a lot of you registering with us and joining the platform and providing good business for everybody. I think that's that's about it. I'd just like to say thank you very much again from myself. Nick, perhaps you'd like to say goodbye yourself.
Yeah, I'm back with you.
Oh, we were rapping for you. So we
good. This is the joy of the webinar, isn't it? My internet crashed, but so I dialed the BT provider and managed to get back in again.
Well, actually, you've cheered me up no end. I mean, bearing in mind my internet died on me at the start, and yours has died on us at the end. So that's balanced it out rather well. Bookended it.
Well, it's fine. We can wrap up now. We did have 2 or 3 questions left, which shows the level of interest in this platform. But I think we'd obviously got through the main ones by now. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending. It's been a fascinating and voluminous discussion. We will be back, I'm sure, in the weeks and months ahead. To register as a member, go to gembridge.com/register. And remember that you will be reviewed. There will be a verification process, and do give as much information as is required in the forms. Thank you very much indeed to my co-panelists, to Nick and Tony and Mark. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. Thank you everybody for sticking with us. We basically know the level of interest in this new platform. So thank you very much indeed, everybody. Stay safe. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.